In the last video, I made Bruz the Chopper as miserable as possible. I followed a step-by-step plan which really pushed this Olog to his limits, before shaming him down repeatedly and burning him. But clearly this wasn't enough, as the Nemesis system just kept bringing him back. So in this video, I'm gonna have to take things to the next level. I've created a new step-by-step plan to first raise him up and give him everything he would ever want, before smashing him down and making him as miserable as possible. And things really do get crazy in this video, with multi-dimensional bruises, imposter ratbags, beautiful stories of friendship, and an interdimensional shame walk to end all shame walks. A little bit of time has passed since the traumatic events of the previous video, so I think before I make a new plan, what's best is to simply observe and see what he's getting up to. And then Bruz immediately shows me that he's not lost his savage nature, because when I track him down, I find that he's taken my faithful overlord hostage.
Stop it right now.
The faithful was my overlord whenever Bruz took the fortress, and he wants nothing more than to die for me in my service.
You will stop it!
It's not my fault! Shut up, bitch!
He is completely faithful to my cause, so maybe Bruz can finally make his wish come true. And if it comes down to it, I'm gonna let it happen. I am a passive observer, watching Bruz frolic around in his natural habitat. These orcs right here seem to be having a lovely time at this execution. Maybe Bruz does treat his followers well. He then shows me that yes, this is indeed an execution by taking out the first captured slave. He paces around a little bit, and then he does something which completely catches me off guard. After brutally taking out the second captive, he randomly releases one of them.
I don't bother with fancy.
And this slave orc, probably baffled by what just happened, immediately joins Bruz's side. He now owes everything to this Olog. And just look at the swagger on him. Bruz showed the ultimate mercy, and because of this he has now gained a very loyal follower. This inspired me to go a whole new route in this video series. Now introducing the new next step. Give him friends. Bruz has clearly shown an appetite for building up a new following, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give him an army of new friends and followers. But before this, I continue observing him as he brutally takes out the faithful. And I turn my attention back to this slave orc. Bruz executed everyone else, but he saved this one guy. Why? This runt must be special. So I do what I do best on this channel. I equip my weakest armor, I lower my health, and then I confront Bruz's gang, trying to give this lovely lad a well-earned promotion. Bruz then gives me a very weird rendition of his speech.
They're eating the dog.
Ah yes, clearly he's been working on his public speaking. I then begin pinning him to the floor, trying to get this slave orc to attack me. And Olog then knocks me to the floor, and he also knocks over the slave orc, almost killing him. With disaster narrowly avoided, I get back up and I take out every single grunt, apart from two. This way the slave orc still has the courage to fight on, and he gets the blow and claims the promotion. That's right, I am the Mr. Beast of Middle Earth. And you've just won yourself $1 million.
Soon Sauron himself will know my name.
With Kosh now rising up, I have successfully given Bruz his first friend. And at this point in his life, I imagine nothing will make him happier. Kosh then becomes the Slaughterer, and Bruz even succeeds and gains a level himself. Kind of interesting, I wouldn't have given him that name. He looks more like a nerd orc.
Nerd.
To continue with this step of the plan, I must first observe Bruz again. I summon in my elemental Grog and I begin to track him down. I follow his trail until we get to this cave entrance. I proceed deep inside, where I find that Bruz has actually taken control of the inner mountain outpost. I spot another Olog captain hanging out the Fearmonger. Let's go see what he's about before we summon in Bruz. Maybe he could be a potential new friend.
sound of explosions. Only sound I love more is scream of dying man.
I begin taking out all of his bodyguards, and then the fearmonger goes on a crazy arsonist spree, setting fire to Bruz's beautiful outpost. This Olog thinks he's a bloody Balrog. Look at this. Look at the amount of fire that's spreading. Because of this, Bruz comes out of hiding. And then right before I can confront him, I am ambushed.
All this racket just for little old you. You should feel special. We're all here to kill you.
The ghoul lover, who immediately gets to work summoning in a gaggle of ghouls. I then shame down the fearmonger for threatening to burn down Bruz's beautiful outpost. The reason I do this is because I actually feel like if the orcs become deranged, they're much more likely that Bruz will favor them and become their friend. So with that in mind, I do the same to the ghoul lover. But sadly, neither of them lose their marbles. They've got a firm grasp for now. I dive on down to face Bruz, and that is when I realise that he's got some Olog bodyguards helping him out. I think this is a great opportunity to dive back in and become the Mr. Beast of Middle-earth yet again. And give this Olog a brand new car, $1 million, and a promotion to the rank of captain.
You'll be rewarded for this. That much is certain.
Our Caro rises, Bruz's second friend, and he becomes the Iron Arm, which I think is perfect. If Bruz is gonna have lots of friends, I'm sure they're just gonna be as broken as he is. He's much more likely to trust the deranged and the broken. After respawning, I head back into the cave system to observe Bruz again. And it really seems like he's made this place his home. This vast underground cavern. It may not be a fortress, but this is finally a place that Bruz can call his own. And I feel like that's all he's ever wanted. Throughout this well-defended cave, there's plenty of orcs cooking up a feast. As well as the returning fearmonger, who I can now safely say is Bruz's third friend. Or at least I believe he has the potential to be one. But I want to make this bond even stronger. And the only way to do that in Mordor is to fight.
Come to finish things, that it?
I want Bruz to come to his aid. And thankfully, after smashing a hammer directly into his noggin, Bruz takes my bit. He charges in, trying to defend his fellow cave dweller Olog. And then the two of them get to work destroying Talion and solidifying their newfound bond. Taking his place as Bruz's third best friend. I catch word that one of Bruz's friends is trying to fight another Olog in the region, but while I head there, I come across this raid leader. I really hope him and Bruz don't become friends. I would hate to lose another fortress to him. I don't want that orc giving him any ideas. I head to the area where I find a very disturbing orc, the Twisted.
Mind these categories, lads. They want to come out and play, but they play rough.
Being hunted down by the Slaughterer.
Caragors haven't got wind of us yet. Soon we strike.
Nerd! I guess this orc is trying to prove that his name is correct, and he's not a filthy nerd orc as I initially thought. Not very noble though, taking on another orc who is half your level. Maybe he's really just living up to his Slaughterer name. While I was hiding out in the bush and passively observing the fight David Attenborough style, I was then ambushed.
Don't you know who I am?
Taken out by the cannibal's deadly no chance, the Slaughterer was still able to successfully take out the Twisted, and potentially move his way up the ranks in Bruz's new army of friends. I take a closer look at this cannibal assassin. Even though he's a cannibal, I'm sure Bruz would still look favourably on this assassin for taking out Talion. But for now, I decide to continue observing. I sneak my way back into the cave where I find the Deathmonger yet again. My fears then become a reality as I see who else Bruz has invited to his table. None other than the raid leader. Well, I'm not gonna get in the way of true friendship here. In fact, I'm gonna encourage it. I assign my tiny, pathetic, runty lad as my bodyguard, and I dive on in to face Bruz and his new friend. I have to make this convincing for him. I have to make Bruz believe that he is really defeating me. So I summon in my runty bodyguard to make it look like we are properly attacking them. But in true pathetic fashion, he is immediately attacked by a Caragor. Once he regains his composure, he is immediately picked up and punched. Bruz despises weak orcs, so being attacked by one of these pathetic tiny lads would surely infuriate him. And because of that, it's not long until the tiny is downed. But I want to make sure Bruz believes this is real, so I continue the fight. I begin focusing in on the raid leader. The tiny even gets a chance to show off what he's made of.
I dominate you.
I then move in and shame him down. And then something amazing happens. He becomes deranged, which cements him as Bruz's fourth best friend. With the raid leader now sent on his way, I begin to panic because the tiny is somehow getting the best of Bruz. I can't allow Bruz to die yet, not this early in my plans. I've still got many more steps to complete. So I begin trying to explode the tiny's head, but it's not enough. Bruz becomes agonizingly close to death. He could be executed at any moment. I desperately try to grab the tiny, and that's when I'm struck down. I then let Bruz finish me off. Little does he know I did this to save his life.
I didn't even want it.
He claims the victory, the glory, and some very important levels. At this point, it's safe to say that giving Bruz a gang of his own best friends is going very well. I jump aboard my trusty grog, and that's when I come across this legend.
So tasty. So tasty.
This wild, rare Pokemon, Baga the Tasty. I have to have him. Not only is he a Baga, not only is he tasty, but he's also a runt. He's the perfect orc to recruit to help me make Bruz as miserable as possible. With Bruz now having a good amount of friends, I think it's time to implement the next stage. After seeing him almost get brutally beaten by the tiny, I think it's safe to say that he's lost a bit of his mojo.
I've lost my mojo.
I have his mojo.
And we need to get that back. So with this in mind, I send the very same tiny orc to raid his underground outpost.
Some schrock off them first, though.
If Bruz is able to get his revenge and defeat this lad right now, I believe he will get his mojo back. And the fight gets off to a great start, picking him up again and punching him across the dirt. He then spams the same move again, before landing a simple blow to down the tiny. He then stands over him, waiting for him to bleed out slowly. But don't worry, Tiny, I'm not gonna let you suffer. And I am sorry. Sacrifices have to be made to get Bruz his mojo back. We have to build him up so that whenever we inevitably tear him down, it's all the sweeter. To keep up this momentum, I send another runt after him.
I will pin you down and scalp you while you scream.
All of these runty lads helped me make Bruz as miserable as possible in my last video. If you haven't seen that, go and check it out, guys, and also subscribe. If you like these videos at all, you might as well, but also, you know, you don't have to, but I would appreciate it. Also, hit that hype button. I don't know what it does.
His vote always has been. No, surprise!
Then this random Olog known as the Strangler comes to Bruz's aid, and he immediately charges across the map and tackles my puny boy. I don't know about you guys, but this definitely seems like Bruz has just made another friend. He's not even fighting the runt anymore, it's just the Strangler, lighting the entire area on fire and beating the puny to death. All of this seemingly happened while Bruz's ADHD brain distracted him. The puny then suddenly succumbed to his wounds and bled out naturally. With this Strangler Olog coming in with such ferocity, such power, and defending Bruz so passionately, I think we can safely say that he is now the fifth friend. The two of them even run off together. At this point, Bruz was certainly riding high. He has his very own outpost, his very own sanctuary, safe deep inside the caves. He's got 5 new best friends who are willing to fight and die for him. And on top of all of that, 2 of the runts who caused him all of this misery in the last video have been taken out. At this point, what could really bring him down? What could take away his mojo and cast him into depression yet again? Well, call me crazy, but I think getting an exact clone of Bruz from another dimension, and then making this new Bruz kill every single one of Bruz's new friends, might just do the trick. So I head online to find another Bruz. I start off searching in Gorgoroth, because Gorgoroth is the place where you do the final Bruz mission. So for most players, that is where he's gonna reside. That's where they would recruit him and then put them into their fortress. But because I've been raiding online forts and doing lots of shopping sprees, I'm quite a high level right now. So for now, I'm just going into fortresses, and if I don't find Bruz, then I'm just gonna let the orcs defeat me. Also, as you can see here, if I see any orcs that have Trickster, I'm gonna take them as well. I really like the idea of doing a decoy tournament, or some sort of decoy civil war in the future, so I guess subscribe so you don't miss that. Speaking of that series, there's also one going on right now, so I recruit this red orc before I bite the dust. You can see that every time I'm defeated, I lose 25 points to my rank. This is on purpose, because right now I am fighting way too high level orcs. If Bruz is going to be in someone's fortress, it's going to be much lower level. At the next fort, I come across this horrible hacked orc. Look at the absolute state of this. And then whenever I go and face him, this happens. If you don't know, hacked orcs have very much taken over PlayStation. I've done a few videos about it. They very much have spread now. Anyway, let's continue down the ranks. I thought I saw Bruz here, but it's just this big gentle lad wearing his clothes. I continue searching, but sadly he's not here, so I end up being Karagor dinner. And it's the same story for the next fort. And the next one. I then think I've struck gold. This fortress is filled with just the DLC orcs. If Bruz is gonna be anywhere, he's gonna be here. While searching for him, I come across Golem the Digger. I actually don't think I've got one right now in this current playthrough, so I go and I recruit him. If you don't know why, Golem the Digger will give you all purple ologs. So if you see one, you might as well recruit him, because you can farm some pretty badass looking lads. I also grab this alchemist because he's got decoys. I then grab Golem, and then I do something I absolutely hate. I get killed by Maku the Fixer, my old nemesis. At the next fort, I get punched out UFC style by this undead Olog. I then raid Frosted Monkey's fortress, and lo and behold, we hit the jackpot. A beautiful Bruz. I dive on in, hurl myself into the fireplace, explode the flames everywhere, and then I clatter Bruz in the face. You're coming home with me. I try to use the threshing sword, but Bruz's friend hits me with the flamethrower. I then double check to make sure this Bruz is authentic.
I'm not trying to take...
Yep, it's him alright. So I begin stabbing him in the gut until he's ready to join me.
You're coming home with me.
Come along, Bruz, we've got work to do. With him now sent on his way, I just wait for these lads to explode before getting taken out by this GameStop worker. Returning home, I immediately summon the Bruz variant. I level him all the way up to level 78. He can get the 2 remaining levels himself. With this variant now by my side, it's time to implement the next stage in the plan. Take everything he loves. To start this off, I'm gonna send this Bruz variant after each of the original's best friends. I gently give Bruz the suggestion to go after one of these lads, and he picks the raid leader. Smart move. Honestly, I think we're all sick of hearing this by now. Before the fight gets underway, I have a chat with the raid leader, and I forgot that I made him crazy. That's why he's such good friends with Bruz. They bond over being deranged, like Taylor Swift fans. It doesn't take long for this variant to use his massive size advantage, destroying the raid leader before a grunt moves in and gets the finishing blow, eliminating the 4th friend. You know, when I keep calling him variant, I think we need to make up a new name for this alternate dimension Bruz. I'm thinking Dooz, or Druz. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call him Druz. Anyway, after sending Bruz on his way, I come across the Whisperer Orc. So I decide to give my Temu Wish version of a Balrog a test run, before taking part in my favourite hobby, the Orc Toss. I then catch up to Druz, who's facing the Fearmonger. You know why I called him Druz? It's because I was thinking, what's a good name for someone who's from a different multiverse? And the Avengers Doom trailer just came out, so I added D onto the front of his name.
You want to talk me to death?
That's the kind of 1000 IQ thinking you come to this channel for.
I want to push out.
Because of the vast level difference, Druz quickly dispatches of the Fearmonger and explodes his head with his mace, so there's no chance of him ever coming back, eliminating Bruz's 3rd best friend. He then makes the mistake of picking up and trying to punch a sapper, which goes about as well as you'd think it would. After the fire clears up, I begin collecting all of the loot, and that's when this happens.
Now that crosses the line. I'm not angry because you killed him. I'm angry because I wanted to.
The legendary slave orc that Bruz saved and didn't execute has hunted me down. Clearly he has caught word of me and Dooz going around and taking out all of the friends. So he's decided to put an end to it himself. But sadly, and unfortunately for him, he is very, very flammable. And after getting hit a few times, he tries to retreat, but I'm not gonna let him goddamn retreat. I pin his legs over and over again, and I let Druz do the rest. Goodbye, Krosh. You had a great story. After that, I jump into Druz's mind and I set him off on his next target. Again, this is just a gentle persuasion. Druz arrives to the location where he confronts the cannibal, the horrible, sneaky orc who assassinated me while I was doing my best David Attenborough impression.
Turns out I'm better at that.
The fight begins and it seems like this sneaky assassin has a friend, Zuka the Murderess. He then spots me immediately.
A fool. There is no fire.
Because of this, and because he's also brought a friend, making the fight unfair to my beautiful, loyal Druz, I jump in to help him out. It doesn't take long until the hired mercenary decides to run. But of course I'm not letting him escape. Druz, who's taken a bit of a battering, proceeds to punch him across the dirt until he decides to also retreat.
This time.
What is going on in this video with orcs trying to retreat? I mean, to be fair, maybe it's got something to do with the interdimensional Bruz hunting them down. Being commanded by the immortal Ranger Nazgul. That might be it. But who cares? Druz has now avenged my earlier humiliating defeat. After that lovely win, he just sort of walks off. And oh, look! He's also made a friend. Maybe this is like unique to Bruz's all across the Shadow of War multiverse. He then takes his new friend and together they hunt down the ghoul lover.
My pets are hungry, and your pink flesh is making their stomachs rumble. What my pets want, my pets get.
Look what I found for you. Oh, it's not the orc. Hold on a moment.
Ah, thank you, lad. But what a weird time to deliver me a gift. Even though the ghoul lover can summon in beautiful looking ghouls, he's still got to go. He's Bruz's friend.
This'll be good.
And what better way to get rid of him than to take out the trash? While I'm admiring my good work, another random Olog appears, and it's actually the Strangler. Bruz's fifth friend. I guess he just couldn't wait for his turn.
Dead.
I activate my Nazgul Rage and begin landing strike after strike into the strangler, before ultimately bonking him on the head. With the 5th friend now returned to the dirt, I realize that we're in a bit of a magical area here. This must be where all of Bruz's friends congregate, because right over here the Iron Arm spawns in. I gotta say, these lads are making it extremely easy for me to execute my plan. Deep down, maybe they hate Bruz, and they're all very happy to sacrifice themselves to make him as miserable as possible.
Do you even know why you're doing this?
I begin fighting Bruz's 2nd friend. Until ultimately he meets the same death by bonk fate. With my work now complete and all of Bruz's newly made friends destroyed, I begin to ponder what next. And something that boggles my mind is not once did Bruz come out of his underground fortress. Even when I destroyed all of his friends, even when I destroyed his blood brother, he did not appear. And in my mind, that seems like a bit of a challenge. So of course the next step in my ultimate plan is...
Scorched Earth.
That's right, Scorched Earth. Along with my gaggle of runts and my very own Bruz, I am gonna go around Mordor and I'm gonna destroy every single orc captain. Until Bruz finally plucks up the courage to leave his underground home.
I am expected at a very high-level meeting, so you better release me.
Shut it! Your voice annoys me. Hey, club! Quite a welcoming party you've put together.
I'm a little bit confused about this fight. How has my Bruz, who's on my side, infiltrated this captain right here? How did that happen? For some reason I thought that the other captains are always aware of which orcs are on my side and which ones aren't, but maybe not. This is very strange. Or maybe, actually, you know what, I've just figured it out, guys. Maybe they think that this Bruz is the other Bruz. The Bruz from this dimension. My Bruz that I've shamed down countless times. Maybe they think it's him. Anyway, thanks to my variant getting involved, we were able to lure 3 separate captains into this fight, so I can begin Operation Scorched Earth. With those 3 captains now taken care of, I then get ambushed. And again, this is one of my favorite things in the game.
This one here, he's going to set your sun permanently.
Oh, that's just delightful. Anyway, back to Scorched Earth. I then send my Bruz after 2 more captains.
The guards are just an ordinary meal.
It's not my fault.
The grog burner arrives with decoys, which makes this next sequence even more satisfying. Hello, the maddest one. I see you've got some shame marks there. Did I make you that? Did I make you like this? I don't care how crazy you are, lad. You've got to go. Operation Scorched Earth is in full effect. Who the hell is this?
Get away from my blood brother!
Bruz, take care of this guy. I then take care of the blood hunter. The maddest one gets tackled to the floor and gets his face exploded by the grog burner. And then very sadly, my Bruz is taken out by the battle hardened. This whole fight was just mental. There was so many captains constantly appearing, and it was all too much for my Bruz. This is very sad, but I guess Operation Scorched Earth is gonna have its own casualties. My runts then get revenge for Bruz, but right when they do, I'm down, so he kind of dies. While I'm just kind of kneeling down there. Look, you can see it in the background. He's dead now. I then put an end to this crazy sequence of fights by executing the grog burner. With the dust now settling on this crazy sequence of events, I can't help but mourn the loss of our beautiful Bruz. That's not his body, but let's all just pretend that it is. Ah, my sweet multi-dimensional Bruz, we did so many fun things together. We killed so many good friends. We single-handedly ruined the reputation of this universe's Bruz. And my god, was it a great time. Fun was had by all. You will be missed, sweet soldier. I'll make sure to keep your head on a spike inside my own throne room. Rest now, sweet summer child. Alright, back to Operation Scorched Earth.
If you're lucky, I'll just give you a scar and let you live.
But you've never been lucky, have you? Speak after I pull your stomach out through your mouth! Taste it!
Can't you taste it? Can't you just taste it? I still say...
That'll leave you guessing about how I'll do you in.
This way!
Your life ends today.
So much abuse, you know. Like that trigger.
The hardest Mordor has to offer.
Taste it! Taste it!
With 6 more captains now destroyed thanks to Operation Scorched Earth, there's still no sign of Bruz. He has still not left his underground sanctuary. This is what the board looks like after all of that. You can see the utter chaos. Now the game keeps respawning captains, but at this point, Bruz will not know any of them. He is truly alone. Underground, left with just the memory of all of his once amazing friends. His once amazing friendship group, which is now gone, returned to the ashes. So I head underground to check on him. There I find him standing in the middle of his courtyard. But then I notice something which disturbs me to my core. In front of him stands this horrible looking monument. Is this a tribute to his friends or something far more sinister? Is Bruz building a demonic cult inside his underground sanctuary? I'm really not sure. Let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think that monument was for?
I'm not trying to take the fall.
Whatever he's up to, I still need to make him as miserable as possible, so it's time to enact the final step of my plan. And that is Shaming 2, Electric Boogaloo. The first part of this is to shame Bruz down until he literally can't feel anything anymore. Once that's done, I'm gonna take him on a shaming world tour, before ultimately ending his life in the most shameful way possible. To begin the shaming ritual, I set fire to his underground fortress. And then I begin bonking him in the head over and over again, making his brain damage even worse. Before diving on in there hand first and giving him the long-awaited first shame of the video. With him now cast out of his own fortress, I begin reanimating orcs, tainting his safe haven. Because of this, he retreats outside into the open. This is his first time seeing the sky in a very long time.
I want nothing to do.
And it seems like Bruz really was very lonely indeed, because he has immediately made another blood brother friend.
You're not killing my blood brother as long as I draw breath.
The Rat Lord, Bruz's new best friend, and I would say only friend at this point. To add insult to injury, I summon in one of my runs to help me take on these 2 Ologs. I begin weakening down the Rat Lord so that I'm able to eventually piggyback him. But right when I'm about to do that, this happens.
No, what now? Another arrow? Or something that can kill me?
Bruz's 5th friend, the Strangler, has returned from the dead to help his former master. But this is fantastic timing as I've now got someone to piggyback into. Thus forcing the Strangler to take out Bruz's new blood brother. Friend versus friend. This must be very hard for him to watch. He even falls to his knees in grief after seeing his blood brother destroyed. Seeing Bruz upset like this enrages all of the orcs. But despite this, it doesn't take me long to send the Strangler back to the Shadow Realm. He may only be the 5th friend, but this one is extra spicy because Bruz is actually seeing it in person. But again, every single time that I do a fight in this area, orcs just constantly keep appearing. As soon as one captain is gone, another one comes to take his place. Who the hell even is this guy? But also, who cares? He's gone. With the Nemesis system running dry and no more captains arriving, I am finally able to break Bruz. And thus begins his shaming piggyback world tour.
For Frodo.
On your left.
Or at least it was going to be a world tour, but for some reason, even when I recruit this Bruz, no matter what I do and no matter how many times I try, he just refuses to leave the area. He refuses to go into my PC, into my garrison. Even whenever I restart the game, he still is a stubborn little boy, and he will not leave Gorgoroth. And now, because I'm not able to bring him to new regions, this has shifted my plans slightly. So instead of taking him on a world tour, I go to Liflad myself, in search of Bruz's most hated orc. I hop aboard my elemental fire grog, and I go in search of this enigma, this runty lad who Bruz despises. I would even call this orc the king of the runts. After hours of traversing, I find his camp. That's right, dear viewer. It's none other than Ratbag. Yeah, this is definitely Ratbag, lads. Don't get it twisted, this is Ratbag. I mean, if you really squint your eyes, and also if you've been shamed and you're deranged and your mind is basically gone, this very well could be Ratbag. I mean, the armor is the same, he's lost some hair, he's looking a little bit paler, and he also now speaks like this. But it's safe to say, lads, that in Bruz's condition, he's not gonna know the difference. I gently persuade Ratbag the Deathbone to join me. I then head back to Gorgoroth, inside the fortress to the pitfight arena, where I am going to subject Bruz to the most humiliating defeat ever. He is going to face Ratbag, and he is going to lose in front of Sauron himself. The Great Eye is watching this fight, and Bruz knows it.
The fault was never mine. It was always his fault.
This is it. It all comes down to this. Bruz versus his arch nemesis Ratbag. After everything he's been through in this video, hiding himself underground, taking over his very own hidden fortress, gaining best friend after best friend, defeating Talion, regaining much of his former strength, only to have it all teared down by an alternate dimension version of himself, losing friend after friend, getting beaten by runts, being shamed down and then piggyback rode around Gorgoroth, only to then meet his arch nemesis Ratbag in the pitfight arena and lose to him in front of Sauron himself.